Juno winner Elias Dummer's songs have accumulated over 100 million streams, and he joins us now to share some of his personal story, an update on his music, and the inspiration behind his original song, 1914 Christmas Truce. Welcome to 100 Huntley Street, Elias.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, good to be back.
It's our pleasure to have you today. You know, Elias, for our viewers who may not be as familiar with you, tell us a little bit about your background singing worship music, Christian pop music.
Yeah, geez. I mean, I started playing on the worship team at my church when I was just 13 years old, so it's been a long time, I'll say. Yeah. But yeah, we I was leading all around Ontario and in Hamilton, and got this little publishing deal when I was just 21, and it was years before anything came of it. I was to and from Nashville writing songs and all of that, but it was this little movement of churches working together in Hamilton, and the band that came from that, the City Harmonic, suddenly there was all this interest, and we found ourselves traveling the world telling that story.
It's amazing, and that was way back in 2009.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you guys continued for many years together.
Yes.
And you felt this call to go out on your own in a solo
kind of
way. Yeah.
So we had a member of the band who had leukemia and fought that through a lot of those years.
Okay.
And then when he decided to leave, we sort of were in how long are we going to keep going?
Yeah.
Do we keep going? And after a year, we just decided to close the book rather than have the book closed on us. And it wasn't so much that I wanted to go off and do my own thing. My drummer, Josh, actually strongly encouraged me to go solo afterwards. It was more that the band was ending, and I wanted to keep going.
Well, you mentioned something about story a moment ago, and I had read somewhere that you said, we all agreed that our story had sort of been told.
Yes, yeah.
As the City Harmonic.
Yeah. We set out with a particular thing in mind, and, we did everything we could to live up to that thing. And, I often compare it to a very popular sitcom where in Britain it went 2 seasons and in America it went 9, of which 3 were good. So there's that sense.
I know which one you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a sense in which sometimes we do things just because we can, as opposed to doing things in a more purposeful way or a meaningful way. And so I'm glad we closed the book when we did. It's not to say that we will never do anything ever again, kind of thing, but it was definitely the right thing to do.
Yes, well, you had a great impact, in the community of followers of Jesus and in mainstream music. And you continue to have a very big impact as a songwriter and a singer. One of the things I love about your songs is they are so theologically rich. They're spiritually rich.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, lots of reflection there. And, I often think that's coming out of your own journey with Jesus, of course. Tell us a little bit about that journey with Jesus and what it's been like for you throughout the years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. Well, and I think, right now it's not hard to look around and see that the church so often, not to say Jesus has, but the church so often disappoints in ways it promised it never might. And so I think there are a lot of people my age and certainly much younger wrestling with what it means to participate in something that is so life-giving and so beautiful, and, to be close to Jesus in that way while surrounded by hurt and disappointment. And so for me, I think faith is this outworking of knowing, in a sense, or trying to know the heart of God and what it is that Christ wants through Christians in the world, and reconciling that with the way that we do things, because we always have, is so often a challenge. And so I think in music, in worship, that's a little part of what we're doing is wrestling, sort of like Jacob, wrestling with that tension and coming out the other side, I think, richer for it and closer to the heart of God.
I love that. I named my son Jacob because of the story of him wrestling.
Yes.
We wrestle as humans. Your recent album, you did very well with that. There's so many accolades.
Yeah, it seems to have connected.
Recent awards.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, well, actually the work volume 2, which is out now, that is really a lot of that thing. I knew it was going to be a bittersweet record, and in so many ways, it's kind of like the Christmas season almost. It's not a Christmas album, but it's kind of like the Christmas season in that we have, in the midst of hurt and brokenness and frustration, we have this promise of hope and a realized glory and goodness and the restoration and reconciliation of all things in Jesus. And so this album is really wrestling with that tension.
Yeah.
It is, and I don't know that one can look out on the world or the church as we are now and not have some mix of hope and frustration alike.
Yes.
And so this record just kind of, takes that tension and runs with it.
It certainly does, yeah. And, Elias, as we look out at the world, we do see a world full of conflict, and we see wars erupting everywhere. We see what's happening in the Middle East. Ukraine has been going on for some time. There's so many other conflicts. And a lot of us as followers of Jesus, we think, what can we do? And our hearts are broken. We want peace. We want God's peace to reign. But Elias, you've got this song, and I think it's a good inspiration for us in this season of the world. 1914 Christmas Truce. Tell us a bit about that song, the inspiration behind it. It's a true story.
Yeah, it's a true story from World War I, and kind of twisted into a worship song of sorts. But yeah, in 1914, I believe it was on Christmas Eve, there was this moment where a sort of temporary armistice had happened, and the two opposing sides in the trenches suddenly found themselves very collegial and hanging out and, swapping gifts and kicking a soccer ball around together. And, it's this beautiful picture, particularly at Christmas, I think, of exactly what we were talking about. We see a taste of the peace that's possible. We see a taste of the peace that can be. And the reality is, even a few days later, they were back to following orders. But in that moment, you saw that almost rebellious, hopeful peace that I think Christ represents in so many ways and represented in the manger. And so this song is really about that very thing. It's telling that story as, Jesus here on earth incarnate, the Prince of Peace. What does that mean in a world at war, in a world in tension? And so I think that seeing that spark of hope, that spark of what is possible and what is to come in Christ, I think is really where I love to point my eyes as often as possible in the midst of all that complexity.
Oh, it's so good, Elias. And, that is where we can find peace in such seasons of uncertainty. And it's our prayer today that our viewers would experience the peace of Christ as they listen to you play this song. So without further ado, here is Elias Dummer singing 1914 Christmas Truce.
Deep in the trenches, 1914. A dark night candlelit by a Christmas tree. No time for fighting, his voice is ring. Oh, come, all ye faithful. We're singing peace on earth, goodwill to men. That is what the sang, and so I'll be sure to sing their song. Peace on earth, the Lord has come. Peace on earth, the Lord has come. On the first silent night in 21 weeks, a white flag held aloft on Christmas Eve. All men reminded of the Prince of Peace. Oh, holy night, singing peace on earth, goodwill to men. That is what the angels sang, and so I'll be sure to sing their song. Peace on earth, the Lord has come. Peace on earth, the Lord has come. Son of God, Prince of Peace, change the world, start with me. The baby boy inside a stable lay, a lion's heart inside a lamb, some say. But heaven's singing, don't be afraid. oh, joy to the world. We're singing peace on earth, goodwill to men. That is what the angels sang, and so I'll be sure to sing this song. Peace on earth, the Lord has come. Peace on earth, the Lord has come.